All right, so there's some corrections that we have to make from the previous assignment that you were given. And when they introduce government spending, the tax, and then the increase in the money supply, I'm not feeling so well. Like seriously, I just had to meet you guys, but I'm not well at all. So we'll have to be a bit quick about what we'll be doing. So first, I want us to rectify that the method that we use is quite advanced. I'm sure when we get to the level 400, they will teach you that. So let's use this question to see the changes that we are supposed to make. So later on, you can go back to that question and then rectify. And then macro to most of the times, the questions that they give to us as the problem sets are what they bring. Even if they won't bring the same thing, they just bring similar ones. Okay. So if you look at the, and then I heard the voice notes from Dr. Tex and how the questions are going to be like. So it's possible, it's either they bring the computation on ISLM or they bring the labor market. So we just look at one from each side. Then we'll look at some true or false questions. Then we will look at those policy effectiveness stuffs and how to use the diagrams and all those things. Okay. So what we have here is the IS equation, LM. We've been given the consumption function, the tax, and then the demand for money. So can someone be reading for me?
Yeah, okay, I'll be reading for you.
Okay, thank you.
So can I start now?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have y equals 1,000.
Let's start from the question. Let's start from A.
Okay, A, find the intercept. Find and interpret the slope of the two curves. Which curve is flatter?
Okay. All right. So this question, most of the times, if you are solving a computational question on ISL, most of the times they ask this. And as we all know, this one we all know we are just revising. Okay. If you want to find the slopes, what you have to do is you differentiate y and r with respect to y. It measures the change in the interest rate resulting from a unit change in the income level. Okay, so if you take the IS equation, this one, they've made y the subject. So you can find dy dr. So if you want to find dr dy, then you reciprocate it. Okay, so if you look at the solution here, if you want the slope for the IS curve, dr dy should be 1 over dy dr. Okay, so from the IS equation, when you differentiate y with respect to r, you get minus 50. So reciprocating it, we get minus 1 over 50. The sign is negative because we are in the goods market. There's an inverse relationship between the income and then the interest rate. So this is your slope for the ISK. We are getting minus 0.02. Okay. Then for the LM equation, that one they've already made out the subject. So we just differentiate r with respect to y, and that one will give us 1 over 30. Okay, we are getting 1 over 30. So 1 over 30, this is the sign is positive because we are in the money market. There's a positive relationship between the interest rate and then the income level. So when we check the two, the curve becomes steeper the bigger or the higher the value of the slope. Okay, so if you compare these two, that of the IS was minus 0.02. Okay, and this one is less than that of the LM. Okay, so we can say that the IS curve is flatter than the LM curve because that one has the lowest value for the slope. Okay, so you take note of this. Almost every time they ask for, they bring a computational question on ISLM, you have to do this. So we have to know this one too. And then the second part is to find the equilibrium Y and then R. So that one, you have two simultaneous equations in R and then Y. So however you want to solve it, some can choose to put the Y into R, or you can choose to put R into Y, whichever way you want to do it, you can do that. So from this one, we are putting the R into the Y. You see that the IS equation was Y equals 1250 minus 50R. And this R is coming from the LM. So just do your substitution, and then what is left is just algebra. Okay, just do your simplification. Then you solve for Y. Okay, so here we are getting Y to be 750. Okay, so just go through the algebra. You can come and get your Y, which is 750. So now, if you want your R, you go to the LM equation, you can just substitute your Y there. R equals 1 over 30 Y minus 15. So put your Y equals 750 here. And then just do your simplification. We are getting the interest rate to be 10. So we have equilibrium interest rate of 10% and then equilibrium income of 750. Okay, 750. So definitely you'll be asked to find equilibrium Y and then equilibrium R. Okay, so that is the second part of the question. Okay, let's look at the C part.
I think that one
iPhone, it looks like there's some noise coming from your end. Let me read it. Assume that government increases its spending by 160 units, and the central bank increases the money supply by 200 units. By how much and in which direction will the IS and then the LM curves shift? Okay, so this is the mistake that we did with the first one, though that one they didn't ask for this. So if you want to know the magnitude of change, okay, that is the by how much, okay. What you have to do is you find a change in Y resulting from the change in 100 and government spending by 160. That is for the ISK. This one, there is only a change in government spending. At times they combine government spending and then tax. So if they are combining the two, then you find the gross effect. Okay, so you find the change in the Y for the ISK resulting from a change in government spending. You do same for a change in tax. Then you add the two. That should be the magnitude of change. And then if you want the direction, use the sign. Though from this one, we know from theory that whenever government increases its spending, the IS curve is supposed to shift to the right. We know, but if you want to use this to prove it, then it's the sign that we use. A positive sign attached to the magnitude means that the IS curve is shifting to the right. If the sign is minus, then we are moving to the left. Okay, so let's look at that. If you want to find the change in Y,
Hello, sir.
yes, Ozu.
Sir, hello, sir. Please, we joined not long ago. Sir, please excuse me, but I would like to say if you can go a little bit back, because it's like I'm not seeing top at all.
Oh, we just started. Okay, we just started.
By the A part.
The first one was finding the slopes and then interpreting the. Okay, for if you take your IS, okay, the slope is dr dy, but this one the equation is given in terms of y, so you find 1 over dy dr, so that should give us minus 1 over 50. And for the interpretation, I think I didn't even talk about that. What it means is that if in the goods market your income increases by 1 unit, then interest rate will fall by 1 over 50 units. Okay, it will fall by 1 over 50 units. And then when you go to the money market, if you find the R, the Y, you are getting 1 over 30. So that's the slope of the LM curve. if you want to interpret this, it means that if income should increase by 1 unit in the money market, then the interest rate will increase by 1/30 units. Okay, it will increase by 1/30 units. And then we're supposed to check and see which one is flatter. You use the one with the smallest slope. Okay, that one means that the curve. So you just compare the two. The one as the value increases, you get a steeper curve. Okay, get a steeper curve. And then the B part is just about the equilibrium that we can all do. You have two equations and two unknowns. So you just solve for y and then r. That should give you your equilibrium y and then r. So we're just looking at the C. Okay, we're looking at the C where they've increased government spending by 160 units, and then they've yeah, Danny.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I guess John, and I'm having some problems with the A, the slopes of the eyes and the features. Sorry.
I think
Can
you are
you
the
hear me?
last. Yeah, I can hear you. I know what you're asking. You are the last person that I will have to go back. I'm recording
Okay.
it, so if you miss something, if not, people will keep on joining, and we can't move forward. Okay, we can't move
Okay,
forward.
sure.
For the IS curve, the thing is the R dy. Okay, that's the slope. Okay, the R dy. But you see that we have the function in terms of y. You can mute yourself. We have the function in terms of y. So if you want the R dy, it's just the same as 1/dy dr. So if you differentiate y with respect to r, you get -50. So 1/dy dr will be minus 1/50. You just reciprocate. Okay, you just reciprocate. This one just later on, just watch the video. It's just the starting part, so you don't have to watch everything. So for the C, government spending has increased by 160, money supply has increased by 200. We want to find by how much and then in which direction the two curves have to shift. Okay, so let's look at how we go about that. So let's start with the IS. Okay. Now, if you want to find the change in y resulting from the change in gene, okay, then it's change in y equals your k times your change in gene. And know that in most of the notes, they were just using 1/1 minus b. That is the case where the tax was only lump sum tax. But if they introduce the marginal tax rate, then we know that it becomes 1/1 minus b into brackets 1 minus t. Okay, where b is your marginal propensity to consume, t is your marginal tax rate. Okay, so now from the equations that we're given from the consumption function, the marginal propensity to consume was 0.8 and the marginal tax rate was 0.25. So just insert these values, and then the change in gain is 160. Check the sign, it's positive, it's an increase in gain. So 160. If it was a decrease in gain, then it has to be minus 160. Okay, it has to be minus 160. So just do this, point this. These are the equations. Our B is 0.8, our T is 0.25. Okay, our T is 0.25. J, I'm coming. So solving this algebra, we are getting a change in y of 400. Okay, change in y of 400. What this means is that the IS curve will shift by 400 units. Okay, it will shift by 400 units, and it will shift to the right because we have a positive sign here. Okay, so the question is in two folds. By how much? Now we have 400, so the IS curve will shift by 400 units. And then in which direction? The sign is positive, so it is shifting to the right. Okay, Jay.
Sir,
Yeah.
please, assuming in the question they gave you J to be 100 and they say that it has increased to 160. Will you
Okay.
use the difference?
Okay. See, that thing too, you have to check the words they are using there. You can have increase by and increase to. Okay. If they,
Okay.
they say increase 2, then the change in gen will have to be the difference. So just like the example that you gave, initially gen was 100. Now they've increased it to 160. So what is the change in gen? That will be 160 minus 100. So that one should give us 60. Okay, so
Okay.
that one, the change will be 60. But this one is, they've increased it by 160 units. So the change now is 160 units. Please,
Okay.
I hope
Thank
we
you.
understand that. So always be looking out for the words that they are using. At times they use by, at times they use to. So you know what you have to do. Yes, Kwame.
Sir, please,
Yeah.
if they don't give you the marginal tax rate,
Okay.
and then you are trying to form your multiplier, does it mean your T will be 0?
Yes,
Your
yes.
small T will be 0.
T will be 0. So it will just be the simple one. 1/1 minus B.
Okay.
Yes, 1/1
Okay.
minus. Okay, so in case there was a change in tax, remember the K for taxes minus B over, if it's the simple one, we have minus B over 1 minus B, but for this case, it would have been this, okay? So that one, you do this times the change in tax, okay, times the change in tax,
Chairman, the brain.
Right, so in case we're supposed to have a change in tax, then the change in the IS curve wouldn't only be this 400. You do it for the tax too, then you come and add it to this one. That will be the change in the IS. If the combined sign is positive, then it is shifting to the right. If the combined sign is negative, it means that it's shifting to the left. Please, can we all stay muted until you want to say something, okay?
The brain.
All right, Gideon. Oh, please, can you mute yourself? If you want to say something, you just raise up your hand, then I'll call you. Yeah, Gideon.
Yeah, boss. Hello.
Yeah, yes, I can hear you.
Please, I'm confused with the parameters.
Okay.
Is it 1/1 minus B plus BT, or 1 minus B into bracket 1 minus T?
Oh, it's just algebra. If you have 1/1 minus B, I mean, originally this is how is supposed to be like. Okay, then here we factor B out. If you factor B out, you have 1/1 minus B into bracket 1 minus T. Okay, so this is exactly the same as this. So whichever one you want to use.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. Kwame.
Yeah, Chairman, I beg you, I was a little bit late. Could you please run through again for me, please?
Oh, please. We've done that like twice, and we promise not to do that again. I will upload the video. You can watch just the beginning part, okay, please.
Okay.
Bear with us.
Thank you.
Okay, please. Let's mute ourselves. Right. So that is for the shift in the IS and by how much. Now, if you want that of the LM, okay, that one, the change in R is supposed to be the change in R. The change in R is giving us -1/C2 times the change in MS, okay, where MS is the money supply, and then this C2 is supposed to be the, if you have the demand equation, okay, the money demand equation. Let's check the equation again. Right, this is the demand equation. At times they bring a constant, okay? So they call the constant the C0, the income elasticity of money demand is C1, and then the interest elasticity of money demand is the C2, okay? So from this equation, the C2 is given as 10. So if you want to find the change in the LM, then it's minus, when you differentiate out with respect to the MS, you get minus 1 over C2, okay? That's why we are using minus 1 over C2. So the change in R there is supposed to be minus 1 over 10 times the change in the money supply, which is 200. So we have minus 1 over 10 times 200, which is minus 20. So this means that when you increase the money supply, the LM curve will change by 20 units, okay? And then it will shift downwards. It will shift downwards, okay? If the sign is positive, it means it is shifting what? Upwards, okay? So this is for the C. If you want to know the change in IS, the K times the change in J or the change in T. If you want the change in LM, then it's minus 1 over C2 times the change in the money supply, okay? The change in the money supply. So this is for the C. This is Kwame. Your hand is still up. Right. Then the next question, we're to find the new equations for the IS and then the LM curves and find the new equilibrium output. Okay. So what you have to do is that if you take the IS curve, you just add the change in Y resulting from the change in the government spending. We had 400, right? So just add your 400 to your old IS curve. And that is supposed to give you the new IS curve. And then when you go to the LM2, just add the change resulting from the change in the money supply. That should give you your new LM curve. So the second assignment, we could have used this. Okay, so that one, we had changes in both government spending and then tax. So just find the change in Y resulting from the change in J and then the change in T. Then you add it to the old IS curve. Then you do it for the MS. You get your new LM curve. Then now you can equate the new ones to find your new equilibrium Y and then equilibrium R. So please remember to check those things again. So let's look at the new IS curve. Okay, the new I didn't do that one. Okay, it doesn't matter. Let's just do it here. Now the initial one was Y equals I think 1, 2. Who remembers it? What was the value? 1250, 1250, right? Minus 50R, minus 50R. So if you want the new one, just add your 400. That was the change in Y resulting from the change in J. Okay. So if you add 400 to this, I'm sure we are getting 16, right? 1650 minus 50R. Okay, this should be your new IS curve. Let's call this Y prime. Okay, let's call this Y prime. And then for your new LM curve, the initial one was R equals 1 over 30 Y, okay, minus 12, I think 12, minus 15, okay, minus 15. And then the change in R resulting from the change in M was minus 20. So you just add your minus 20. So this should give us 1 over 30 Y minus 35. Okay, 1 over 30 Y minus 35. Okay, yes, Insha.
Please, we want to ask that why is it that you use for the C2 you use 10 instead of -10?
Oh, we use the values, not the signs. The thing is that when they were describing or defining the variables, if you remember, they stated that the B2 is supposed to be less than 0. So whatever sign that you see, that the sign is just telling you that there's an inverse relationship between the dependent and then the independent. Okay. If you use the sign, then when you differentiate R with respect to M, you see that you are getting your -1 over C2. So if you still want to use the minus C2 again, then the sign there is going to be positive, which means that when you increase money supply, LM curve is supposed to shift upwards, which is not true. Okay, so when you differentiate R with respect to M, you are getting -1 over C2. Okay, the C2 there is the positive 10. I hope that's okay. So just use the numbers. Right. So all right. So now if you want to find your new equilibrium Y and then R, you just equate these two new curves or equations. Okay, just solve them like we did in the B. So you go through those steps and then you get your new Y and your new R. Okay, you get your new Y and then your new R. So whenever there are changes in gene T and then M, this is what you have to do. First, you find the change in the curves resulting from the changes in gene T and then M, add them to the old curves, get your new ones, and then equate them. So please, let's take note of this. Just assuming that there was a change in only gene without a change in money supply, it means that there will be no change in the LM curve. You find your new IS, then you equate it to the old one. There's a question in the Pascal which was like that. The change was just fiscal. So just find your new IS, combine it with the old one, and then you'll be able to get your new Y and your new R. If the thing is only a change in money supply to, it will not affect the IS curve. So just find your new LM, just equate it to the old IS, then you find your new Y and your new R. Okay. I hope we understand what I'm trying to say. Please, do we understand?
Yes.
Okay, right. So definitely you should have a question on this. If not this one, then the labor market one. But before we look at the labor market, and then this one too, when you are done, you'll be asked to draw, use the ISLM diagrams to interpret why your result is like that. I think the last time we met, we did that. Let me see. But when you are drawing the diagrams, you need to make sure that you are drawing it in a way that will match the new values of R and Y that you had. Okay. The confusion comes from the fact that when you increase government spending, it's supposed to cause an increase in interest rate. Okay, but why to increase? And then when you increase money supply, it's supposed to cause a reduction in interest rate. Okay, so one is causing the interest rate to go up, the other is causing it to fall. So the total effect on the interest rate is ambiguous. It depends on which magnitude is greater. Okay, so after your mass, you will know whether there was an increase in the interest rate or there was a decrease in the interest rate. Okay, so now just assuming that you do this and then you get the assuming you get an increase in interest rate, Okay. Now, if there is an increase in money supply, this is supposed to be our new LM curve. Okay, this is the initial equilibrium point. Okay, so this is interest rate, this is Y. Okay, when you are drawing your new IS curve, you make sure you are drawing it in a way that the new equilibrium will cause an increase in R. If there was a decrease in R, then you can draw your IS curve like this. This will be the new equilibrium. So there will be a fall in the interest rate. It's even possible that there will be no change in interest rate at all. It's possible there will be no change in interest rate. If you draw your IS curve here, though there's going to be an increase in Y, there will be no change in R. Okay, so how you draw the diagram depends on the values that you get here.